What's up? Hello. Today I'm going to film making a gift for my husband's Nana. It's gonna be 4 placemats and a table runner. Which I've never done either one of them before, and I looked up dimensions like standard placemat size, and according to Google, standard placemat size is 12 by 18 inches. And then the standard runner for a 4-place table was 60 by 12 or 60 by 13. I know I'm gonna get the 60 inches, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna have the 12 inches. I'm not completely sure how wide I have it right now. But I'm gonna show you the pieces that I've cut out, which has taken forever. I'm still trying to get my sewing room together and buy all the stuff, but it's a lot, so I'm spreading those purchases out. And I don't have a rotary cutter or mat. I do, but it's a whole nother story. I just don't have it with me today. And so I've been doing it by hand, and I don't have an extra table to cut out, so I've been cutting out on the floor. So I have everything laying out on the floor. This is just what do they say in other YouTube videos? It's just to show you that you don't have to have a lot of fancy equipment to do it. Apparently that's true, because I just did it with scissors that I got like 15 years ago. And yeah, so I'm gonna show you what I have cut out so far. So I have 4 of these fabric of this and 4 of this. This is 12 by 18 for both of these. This is gonna be the top and this is gonna be the bottom. And then I'm gonna do this pattern for the trim around it. I'm gonna embroider, I think I'm gonna embroider, it's built into my machine. It's a teacup with a kitten in it. And then I don't know how I'm gonna do like the quilting pattern over it. I have some fancy stitches that I thought of doing like little leaves that would kind of match this, but I don't know. I went with this white fabric, so then the cat embroidery pattern would show up well. And this fabric I've had for several years, and I loved it, and I wanted to do this as the top, but I knew that the embroidery wouldn't show up as well on this, so that's why I went with the white. I know it's kind of like, white for a placemat? That's gonna get messy, but I know that Nana is gonna take great care of these, and they're not gonna get that messy. So here's the trim I have cut out, and then for the table runner, I'm gonna do a chevron pattern. This is my center square, and I think I'm also gonna embroider the teacup and kitten on this one too. Not 100% sure on that yet. I'm gonna have to see how they turn out on the placemats. With the chevron pattern, you take a longer piece, which this is 11 inches, and you put it on like one side, and you have the shorter piece, which the shorter piece is 9 inches. And you put it on this side, and then you just go back and forth, which it kind of looks made up like this. And then you do the same thing with the white ones. But instead of lining this up to like right here, you line it up down here. And then you put a longer white one, and you go back and forth with all the different, back and forth with this and then this one. I cut these at 2.5 inches wide, I'm pretty sure, because I'm gonna do a 1/4 inch seam allowance, so these strips will end up being 2 inches. Which I counted up how many I had to have to make the 60 inches to be the length, and I feel like I did my math wrong, so I don't know how long it's actually gonna turn out to be. When you get them all sewn together, then you're gonna go through and like cut, which this side is a little off because obviously the 1/4 inch hasn't been taken out here, and so there's like a 1/4 inch right there. So it looks like it's off, but that's just because the seam hasn't been sewn yet. So it'll match up like this, and then you're supposed to just take like a rotary cutter and cut a straight line across like this and make it a flat line, which hopefully by the time I get to do that, I will have my rotary cutter here so that I can actually do that. I'm gonna do this as the backing on the underlay of it, and then I'm also gonna do this as the trim around the whole placemat. But this is gonna be on one side and it's gonna keep going blue, white, and then it's also gonna be on the other side. It's a really, really cool pattern when I have it laid out. But I laid it out to see and it was, very gorgeous. So I'm gonna start with the placemats. And basically, I have to start by embroidering the piece on, because once I embroider that, I have to do that first, so then I can sew this one onto this one, because, you know, we don't want to embroider through both layers, otherwise it'll have the back of it. So I will show you what design I'm going with, and then what colors I've picked out, and I'll probably do a test piece to make sure I know exactly what I'm doing. I've made the first one to know what it was going to look like, and I did it on the fabric. This is, pardon me, I have a cold right now. So what I did, this is the size of my embroidery hoop that attaches to the machine, and so while this was in there after I finished stitching it, I took this around this pin, or marking pin. It's water soluble, so then it'll come off of stuff. And I went on the inside of the hoop and traced this and then cut it out. So then when I lay this on to my placemat, I can know exactly where it's going to go and then where it's going to stitch it inside the embroidery hoop. So what I'm planning to do is just mark like the corners probably, because I don't want to have to go around the whole thing, because then I have to wash the whole thing and then I have to wait on the whole thing to dry, and that's a pain. So I'm hoping that I can just mark the corners of it, and then I can put this piece right here into the embroidery hoop and line those corners up, and then I know exactly where this is going to sit. And I think this is about where I want it to sit on the placemat, because the trim on it will come up about like this, and so I think that's a good distance. I still don't know what I'm going to do on the rest of it. I think there's some butterfly designs in my machine, and I was thinking of putting like 1 or 2 or 3 here, but I don't know. But anyway, so this is a template. I was thinking, not template, I forget what the word is. I was thinking of changing the color of the cats so then they were all different. Like for this yellow, make it brown or some other color, but I just don't have those threads to be able to do that, so I'm not sure if I'm going to change them or not. I might change the eye color. It's not coming up as vibrant as it is, but it's like a green, a really pretty green. And I was thinking I could change it to like blue or brown or something, and then that would give the cats a little bit of a difference. But I don't know, we'll just see how it turns out. So I'm gonna go through and mark this one, put it in the hoop, put the backing on, and I'll show you what that looks like along with my lineup of threads. And yeah, okay. I have the machine set up, and I have the embroidery stabilizer. This isn't one that's sticky. It just goes under it, and it's a tearaway. I have it on the embroidery hoop, and it looks like the marking worked pretty well, or at least to line it up, it worked well. This is a design I'm choosing. This is a Brother SE700 machine, so I don't know if your machine will have this one, but you go to here, and then it's just this cat one right here, and click set, and then you're gonna go to size, and you're gonna do this one and make it the biggest it'll go, which I think it only does like 2 clicks. Okay, that's the biggest it goes. Not much bigger than what it starts at, but I wanted it to be as big as possible. You click OK, and then if you wanna double check and make sure it fits in your hoop, obviously it's going to, but you end edit and then you push this, and then you push this, and it goes to all the different points. It's just something that I saw in a video and I was like, oh, that's good, then I know where it is. And you can even go to like where the bottom of the design is, that's where it's going to be, and the top of the design, and so on. And then you just click OK, embroider, and it starts out, and the first color is white, which I already have the white on the machine, it's threaded, and it's good to go. Obviously, so this light, it's red, which means it's not ready to go. You have to lower the foot and then you can push it to go. But I'm gonna wait for a second because I like watching my machine, and because I like watching it. So if you saved your book, you can go to the design, which this is the design, and it has all the colors it's gonna use. As you can see, the white gets reused twice, and then this pink gets used twice, and then this green gets used twice as well, which this time right here is the eyes, and these times is for the leaves. So if I want to change the eyes, then I know that that's when to change the eye color. I want to show you a weird hack I found. So sometimes when the thread is coming out here, it'll catch on this. And I've said in my last video that I posted that you want to make sure that if there's rough spots, then they're going in the correct direction, so then the thread just like goes over that rough spot. Well, I found this really kind of weird hack, so when you get a new spool of thread, the thread goes into like one of those cutouts in it. I don't know if you can see, yeah, right there, that little cutout, so then it doesn't unravel. Well, because it's in that, that it can catch there, which chances are the other side is going to be more smooth. So when you put it onto the machine, you leave this sticker on, and you know that this side goes in first, so then the thread isn't going over that rough side, and the other side doesn't have the sticker. So you can see all the ones that have the sticker, that means that's the side that goes into it first, and then the thread comes off of it like this. See, there's still stickers on all the undersides, or on one side of each. I also found to keep a nail file in your sewing stuff, and then if you do happen to find on your smooth side, if you happen to find a rough spot, you can just file it off and it doesn't catch. It's super weird, but it works. This one right here, I will say, it came with a notch on both sides or something, and this right here will catch sometimes. So I line it up on the machine so that notch is like right here like this, because that's usually where it shows the most the least resistance or something like that. So anyway, that's just a hack I found, and it's easier to remember, okay, that side goes on, and I don't have to constantly like feel the whole rim and know, oh, that one's rough, don't put that one there. Anyway, so let's push this in and watch it embroider. Here we go. First one, the teacup and plate part, and then now it says to change colors to that, which it's gonna do the bottom of the plate and then some other like random floral pieces or something right there. You can kind of see it. It's really hard to see because it's such a light color. So I also wanted to point out that it says how long the embroidery is supposed to take. It says it's supposed to take 38 minutes, but that doesn't include changing out the threads in between each time. So I'll probably just maybe do some more time lapses while I finish this one, but I don't think there's any other instructions really to give that I know of. So yeah, you could just enjoy watching the rest of the whatever I time lapse. So it's actually been a couple days in between the last clip and this clip, and I didn't end up filming any more time lapses because I was watching videos while I was sewing. So I finished all 4 of them. I ended up changing eye colors. So this one's green, this one's blue, this one's purple, and this one's brown. Also, I ended up having to change the gray. It's a darker gray on this one, and then this is a lighter gray. This is actually light gray done with an embroidery thread, whereas this gray is actually just like regular thread. All right, so I've already sewed one, but I have it outside drying because I got rid of the lines. I decided that I'm just gonna do lines this way instead of crossing them both ways. I'm not exactly sure why, I just thought it looked okay, so I decided to leave it like that. But I have a line here, 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 and here. And they're 4¼ inches apart, I think, is what I did. And I'm doing this stitch. So if you're on your machine, let's see if I can go back. So you go here, you go over, do this one, you use the end foot, which is what I have on it right now, and you can do this one 2 different ways. You can use a foot pedal, or you can, if the foot pedal's not attached, you can release or set the lever down and you can just push the start button and it'll sew automatically. But I decided to use the foot pedal, so I'm not gonna do it like that. I'm using white thread on the top as well as the bobbin, and well, let's see if I can sew it one hand and show you how it turns out. Right, you line up the blue line right in the center of the clear parts on this. Okay, and then just push the little foot pedal. And this is a little bit of a slower stitch because it has to go back for each foot pedal. Machine kind of cheats once you stop. You push your little button. Okay, so this is what it looks like. It's a really pretty leaf design, and it does show that it's like kind of bunching, and I'm pretty sure when I go to iron it afterwards, it'll smooth that out. However, it doesn't really smooth out what's around this embroidery patch. Obviously it just brings it together, so there's not really anything I can do about that. But, so yeah, I do that on all of them, and as well as on all 4 placemats. So yeah. Alright, so this is the trim for the sides of the placemats. I've already actually completed 3 of the, half sewn on 3 of the trims. This, I actually have no idea how wide I made this. I think it's a little more than 2 inches. But it's all the same length. So right now I'm just sewing it together from the different, lengths, and then folding it in half and ironing it all the way down, and then this part will be sewn onto the placemat. So I just have a little bit more to iron of this, and then I'll have enough trim to finish the last one. Alright, so here's one of the placemats that I've done that has the trim on it. I sewed it onto this side, and so eventually I'm gonna fold it over to this side and hand sew it onto this side, like this. So that'll be a long project, but you'll have to iron this part up, and then this part over, and then hand sew it like that. I want to tell you a couple of tricks for doing the binding on it. When you start the binding, well, you're gonna start it on this side. You're gonna sew it onto this side. You want to start your end of the binding somewhere along like a long edge, not close to a point, but somewhere like right here. And you want to kind of leave a bit of a tail like this, so you want to start like here, and you may end up seam ripping back a little bit to join the other ends together when they come back around here. So I'm going to start sewing this, and then I'm going to show you how I do the corners. To be honest, I looked up a YouTube video to learn how to do the corners and to learn how to join them. So if I'm not explaining it well enough, just look up quilt binding corners, and then quilt binding connecting the ends, and there's a ton of videos out there. So I'm gonna start sewing this. Sewn down to about here so far. You're gonna sew all the way to about 1/4 of an inch. So however far your seam is from the edge, that distance. So if it's 1/4 of an inch or if it's a 1/2 inch, that's where you're gonna stop from this line here. So I'm doing it at a 1/4 of an inch. So I'm gonna stop about 1/4 of an inch from this edge right here. It should look like, right there. Okay. Okay, now, this ought to be fun. You're gonna fold this kind of at a triangle and this line is gonna match up with this edge over here. Oh yeah, just like that, see? And then you're just gonna stick this back in the machine. I didn't get it. So a little bit. Okay, and then you just keep on sewing down. Till you get to the other corner, and you repeat the same process till you finish all 4 corners, and I'll show you how to do the join. All right, I've got about this much left to sew, and what you're gonna do is, well, you'll have to take this back to the iron, but you put a little crease in here on this tail and a crease in on this tail, and you actually leave a little gap. The lady in the video I watched, she left a little gap, and she's like, I don't know how it works, but that's how it does, and she's right. I don't know why, but you leave a little gap about that big. Iron both of these sides, and then I'll show you what to do next. I Jimmy rigged something to set my phone on so I can use both hands. So I've got both of these sides ironed. You're gonna take your long tail, or you're gonna take one of the sides, and you're gonna open it up, and there's kind of an X. It's kind of hard to see, but you can, see the X. Okay, you're gonna set that down with the good side of the fabric facing up, and then I messed up a little bit. This is why I said you might have to seam rip a little bit. I put the crease right where I put the thread, and I needed a little farther back. That was done. My bad. Okay, so let's try this again. So here's the crease on this side, and you're gonna take it so good sides are facing good sides, and you're gonna do the opposite crease. So you have the long crisp crease here. That crease is gonna match the short one on this one, and then the short one to the long one. And I don't pin it. The lady I watched, she didn't pin it either. She said it messed up, it like bunched it up funny. So it's very important to have 2 hands. And then you're gonna just sew a cross pattern, or a diagonal line from here down to here. Okay, I've got it sewn, and the lady I watched, she's like, don't cut it until you check and make sure it works. So I just kind of flatten it out like this. Oh, yep, okay, it works. Great, awesome. And then I go and cut this. I go ahead and cut this in a straight line here because I still have this whole long tail of trim that will be used for the table runner. But once you cut that piece off, then you're gonna go through and you're gonna cut this piece right here. And you can go and iron this down if you'd like. And iron back in the crease that you had. I'm gonna see if I can do it without, just because it's faster. I don't want to have to walk over to my ironing board. You got that all straightened out, then you just lay it back down and you just sew it back like you were doing the trim before. All I have left to do on the placemats is hand sew this all down. So I get to sit down with my husband, watch movies or whatever, or sew it during church. And now I guess it's on to making the table runner. All right, let's get on to the monotonous part of sewing one strip after another. So you're gonna start with the short strip, sew this, then you're gonna put your long strip on like this, and sew that, and you're just gonna keep alternating from the blue, or from one color to the next color. So I'm just gonna set my phone up and do it. Remember to make sure your sides are even. So this side may have like 20 stripes, and you wanna make sure there's 20 stripes on the other side. I'm not sure exactly how many stripes I'm gonna have, but make sure they're even. Sewing all of the strips on. I think it comes out to be like 65 inches. I'm actually not completely sure. Let us see. Almost 70 inches, 69 inches. Sweet, awesome. That's so cool. I think when I calculated how long to do, or how many strips it would take to do the 60 inches, I didn't think of how long this square was going to be already. So it actually was awesome that it's like that. Okay, now I'm going to go through and I'm going to iron these down, and because I chose to make all of them fold in on the blue one, because it's a little bit darker, and so hopefully it'll be hidden more. So I sewed them all to lay like that. I'm gonna go through and iron it, and then I'm gonna cut this off and then measure the fabric for the backing, and we're almost done with the runner. So I'm gonna iron it now. I did finally get my rotary cutter. This will be the first time I use it, so hopefully it works, and a mat, and I got a ruler. A ruler is super important when you're using a rotary cutter. Okay, let's see if I can do this. You're just gonna line it up with all of your points where these pieces meet and cut from there. Give yourself a straight line to work with. Apply a lot of pressure on your ruler so it doesn't slide, and then just put your rotary cutter against the edge of it. Sweet! Ah, yes. Beautiful! Gorgeous. Okay, now I'm just gonna finish the rest of them. The backing pinned on to the front, and I'm gonna go and sew probably a 1/4 inch from this edge here. You can see how I left a little overlap of the backing. I'm gonna trim that off, so I'm probably gonna sew a 1/4 inch from this line right here. I haven't decided if I'm going to do some sort of like quilting pattern here so it holds it in like the middle so it holds it onto the back. I'm not sure because I don't think that any kind of quilting pattern will look very good with this pattern, and I love the way that this chevron looks. I did think maybe sewing in like each of these lines here, but I don't know. So I'm gonna see how it looks after I sew this to the backing and see if it like separates funny or something. And if it does, then I don't know. I'm still not sure what I'm gonna do. Maybe I'll just go in at the end of each one of the blues. I don't know. Well, we'll see what it looks like. So I'm gonna sew this real fast. Sewn onto the table runner. I'm not exactly sure how this is gonna fold over, but I'll be hand sewing it on the other side, and hand sewing is very forgiving, so we'll see how that goes. The corners or the tips of this I did the same way I did the placemats. Now all I'm gonna do is iron this like this and then down like this so I can hand sew it on the other side. The lady I watched that showed me how to do these corners said to cut the triangle tips off, so then there's less bulk. So that's what I'm planning to do. I'll probably do that while I'm sitting down to sew. So now I'm just gonna iron these over and then spend the next who knows how long hand sewing, and then I'll show you them all finished and we'll be done. Seating moved rooms because I'm gonna sit down on my comfy couch while I'm hand sewing. I've got all the stuff with me, got thread, scissors, and needles. These are actually embroidery needles, and I'm hoping they'll work just as well as sewing needles. And then I also have regular pins to pin the binding down so I can sew it easier. It would be nicer to have clips, but I don't have those yet. I got a drink and a snack and everything, and I'm gonna sit down and watch some shows while I'm sewing it. I only have about 3 or 4 hours to be able to hand sew today. Have some other stuff I have to do tonight, but we'll see how much I get done today, and if I don't get it all done today, I've got plenty of time tomorrow to hopefully finish it all. So yeah, I'm gonna be sitting here for a few hours, and I'm gonna be watching movies on my phone, so I won't be time-lapsing. So I'll just show you when I get done what it looks like. Well, I finished all the hand sewing. I set it out on my table, and my table is not big enough, but it's all done. I finished hand sewing everything. These points over here, I did like this little tiny fold over and then just stitched through it to hold it. And then this right here is the same, you just fold it over like all the corners on the placemat. I don't know if I said it already, but when you fold it over, one way will fold smoother than the other way. So for this one, the left side is on top and the right side's underneath. I think that's how all of them are, and that's the side that fell folded over smoothest for me. I would imagine that would be how it would be for everybody, but I guess if you sew it backwards or something, then the right side will fold over smoother, but for me it was the left side. So anyway, I've got it all done, got all 4 placemats out, all hand sewing done, and should be giving it away soon. It was a fun little project. I wish I would have had my rotary cutter when I started cutting out all of the pieces, but we make do with what we have. All the embroidery looks so cute. So happy with how it turned out. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching this video of me making these things that I've never made before. Hopefully I'll do some more sewing videos. If you have any suggestions of videos you'd like to see me do, or like things you want me to test out on a sewing machine or something like that, leave it in the comments below. Yeah, it ended up taking me a lot longer to do these. I was gonna hand sew them on Saturday and be able to give it to my Nana on Sunday, but I ran out of time and procrastinated just a little bit. And so I finished it driving to church on Sunday. And then I think I had like a few inches to do on Monday morning. And then I finished ironing it today. I don't know, I guess it took me about 2 weeks, but I also didn't work on it full time. And especially without a rotary cutter, it got annoying a little bit. And so I would be like, okay, I'm done for today. I can't keep going. But yeah, I'm finally done with it. Should be giving it to her hopefully this coming Sunday, if not sooner. yeah, I hope she enjoys it. And I hope y'all enjoyed watching this video. And yeah, I'll see you whenever I make another video.